Hey, shalom, shalom. Just want to give all praises, glory, and honor due unto Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai Bahashem Rakah HaKodash. This is the voice of Jacob. My name is Brother Gabari Allah. Lord willing, this will be edifying. And double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that I do learn this truth from. To you, I say shalom. Hey, this just shows you where Americans are at spiritually. When you go into the law of circumcision, you have a lot of people out here not circumcising their kids, their baby boys. That is in decline now. So people don't believe in that procedure, which that procedure goes back to the law. That's actually a part of the law, and it shows you that their minds are not really circumcised, right? And faith without works is dead. People are faithless out here, and this shows that they don't believe in circumcision. And it's not because they don't have a lot of money. It's just now it's a preference. They just don't want to do it, And that's really among you so-called whites. Now, among you so-called blacks and Hispanics, circumcision has stayed relatively the same for you. You guys are actually circumcising your baby boys, which that's righteous when you go into the law. That was a covenant that was made between Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and Israel, and the different generations that come out of Israel, the seed of Israel. We're supposed to circumcise our men, our man children, our man childs, right? So it says, circumcision in decline, why fewer U.S. parents are heeding recommendation by doctors, research led by Ping Yang and Dr. Aaron A.R. Tabayan, Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine. Fact checked, verified. So these are facts, okay? This is research. Research has been done going into circumcision. Now let's get the law on circumcision. We're going to start at Genesis chapter 17, verse 9. And the Most High said unto Abraham, Thou shalt keep my covenant, therefore, thou and thy seed after thee in their generations. This is my covenant which ye shall keep between me and you and thy seed after thee. Every man child among you shall be circumcised. And ye shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin, and that shall be a token of the covenant betwixt me and you. Yeah, and that's very healthy. This is going into men's health. Hey, you men that come into this truth, you should be circumcised. And if you aren't, you should be working on getting circumcised. And that's a part of the law. The Lord commands you to do that. Okay? And this is something that is in your control. And it's very easy now. I know it's getting easier over here in Canada, and even in the United States too. Right? You have these different institutions of health. They're making it easier for you to get circumcised. So don't sleep on that, right? So you're supposed to get circumcised. That's actually a part of the law. And also, you're not only supposed to get physically circumcised, you're supposed to be circumcised in the mind, right? So that falls in faith and works. You believing in it, and then also your work showing that you do believe. Okay? And circumcision is a good example of faith and works. Right? It shows that you believe, and it shows your actions, right? So all I'm saying, really, actions speak louder than words. You can't just say that you love the Lord. You actually got to show it. And this shows that. So anyways, let me continue on here. It says, verse 10, This is my covenant which ye shall keep between me and you and thy seed after thee. Every man child among you shall be circumcised, and ye shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall be a token of the covenant betwixt me and you. And he that is 8 days old shall be circumcised among you. And yes, it's 8 days for a reason. On the 8th day, that male child is supposed to be circumcised, because that's when his body is mature enough. The blood in his body is matured enough for his flesh to be cut. Right? There's an actual science behind that. Because if you don't cut him, let's just say you cut him before the 8th day, the baby could actually bleed out. It could bleed to death. So that's not only spiritual, it's actually, there's actual science behind it. Okay? So it says, every man child in your generations, that he that is born in the house or bought with money of any stranger, which is not of thy seed. So yes, even if he's a heathen, he has to be circumcised. If that heathen man child or male is under you, he has to be circumcised. circumcised. So verse 13, it says, he that is born in thy house, and he that is bought with money, must needs be circumcised, and my covenant shall be in your flesh for an everlasting covenant. And the uncircumcised man-child, whose flesh of his foreskin is not circumcised, that soul shall be cut off from his people. He hath broken my covenant. And that's true, man. Right? But, we're not able to do things correctly in this in this go-around, in this captivity. So the Lord is very lenient. But really, when I look at this precept here, verse 14, if you're uncircumcised in the mind, hey, you're going to be cut off. Okay, you're going to be cut off. Because you got to be both circumcised in the mind, and you also have to be circumcised in the flesh. Right? Like I said, going into faith and works. Right? You can't just say that you believe in the Lord, but you're not doing the right things. All right. Anyways, man, you got to be circumcised in the mind too. That's very important, or you ain't going to make it. So this is a law, man, and this is supposed to be practiced among our people. This is the covenant between us and the Lord. So the Lord requires of us to do this. It's very important. And also, this has health benefits. This is for men's health. First of all, it reduces your risk of getting penile cancer and other diseases, especially sexually transmitted diseases. And it keeps you clean, right? It's a form of cleanliness. So this is beneficial to you, right? It's good for your health. Anyways, it says here, rates for male newborns dropped below 50% despite medical support. In a nutshell, newborn circumcision rates in the U.S. fell from 54% in 2012 to 49% in 2022. White families saw the sharpest drop, while Black and Hispanic rates stayed steady. Wealthier and privately insured families had higher rates, but also bigger declines. Researchers point to rising skepticism toward medicine and Hispanic population growth as possible factors. Wow, that's interesting, right? And I understand why white families saw the sharpest drop, because you are the sons of the wicked, which shows where your mind is at. You don't have faith and you don't believe in Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Even though you claim that you do, you like to say that you're Christian, you like to say that you're God-fearing, right? And you are the chosen, but you really aren't, pursuant to Malachi 1 and 4. And also, I believe, 1 Maccabees chapter 1, verse 7, going into evils were multiplied in the earth when the wicked started to rule. I understand why among you your circumcision rates have dropped, because you are the wicked. Now let me get this. This is Psalms chapter 50, verse 16. But unto the wicked the Most High saith, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes? And like I said, if you want to know who the wicked is, go read 1 Maccabees chapter 1, verse 7 on down. And also read Malachi chapter 1, verse 4 on down. Okay, that shows you who the wicked is. The wicked is Esau, Edom. Okay, you are the wicked. Now it says, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth? There you go. You have no business trying to follow the law, statutes, and commandments. Really, you can't serve the Lord. The Lord was made between Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and his descendants, which is Israel, Yasha Allah. He is the prince of the power, right? So you have no business serving the Lord. Verse 17, seeing thou hatest instruction and cast away my words behind thee. You see that? And you're going to see why it says castest my words behind thee and hatest instruction. You're going to see why, because they understand that, the research is out there. It shows that it's good for you, but it's just preference. And it's not because they don't have money. It's not because they're not insured. It's just they don't want to do it. Right? So it shows you who they really are. They're stubborn, man. And they hate instruction. And we're supposed to rely on the instructions that the Lord has given us. And that's found in the Word. Right? But hey, when you go into Isaiah 5 and 20, what does it say? It says, woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, that put darkness for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. You see? And that's what's going on right now. Right? They're calling something evil good and good evil. Circumcision is no longer a good thing to do. I'm skeptical of it. I don't think it really works. They put darkness for light, and light for darkness. So hey, they turn a good thing into a bad thing now. And we know what the light is. The light is the law, right? The light is the law, and the lamp is the commandments. That's pursuant to Proverbs 6:23, and that has been twisted and turned upside down in this place. So now they're telling you that it's not really beneficial for you. And that's what these Edomites think in their head. They're like, it doesn't matter if I do it. Whatever. I don't see the big deal. See, that's how this world is, man. Verse 21, woe unto them that are wise in their own eyes and prudent in their own sight. That's right, and they rely on their own wisdom. We're supposed to rely on the wisdom of the Lord. And if you are really wise, you would fear the Lord. And if you fear the Lord, you would follow the law, statutes, and commandments to the best of your ability. And it's very easy to follow this law, man. There's nothing really restricting you from getting circumcised. You may have to pay a little bit of money here and there and maybe jump through a little bit of hoops to get it done, but that's in your control. You can actually do it. And people are just choosing not to, especially you Edomites, right? So yeah, man, you're not supposed to be wise in your own eyes. You're supposed to follow the wisdom of the Lord, and that's found in the scriptures. Doesn't the scripture say you're supposed to forsake our own thoughts, right? Let me get that. This is Isaiah chapter 55, verse 7. It says, let the wicked forsake his way, and the unrighteous man his thoughts. All right, you're not supposed to believe in what you believe in. Your thoughts aren't going to get you anywhere. Right? You should just follow the law, statutes, and commandments. And let him return unto the Lord Yahweh, and he will have mercy upon him, and to our power, for he will abundantly pardon. You see, and that has always been the case for the righteous when they return to Yahweh Ba'Shem Shai and they called upon the Lord. They always received mercy, and they always got pardon for their crimes. The Lord always forgave them. The Lord never forsook them. So why wouldn't you call upon the Lord and do what the Lord says? Verse 8, for my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, saith Yahweh. As the heavens are higher than the earth, and that's true, and that's where the Lord dwells. Heaven is my throne, and earth is my footstool. So if the Lord is in the heavens and you're not, the Lord is above you, and his way of thinking is way higher. It's on another level, and you actually cannot comprehend his ways. That's how high he is. So it says, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. See that? So, hey, the Lord told us to get circumcised, and these are his ways. So his way of thinking is higher than ours. So why not follow it? Why not follow it? So we're supposed to stay in the scriptures. And this is a law. We are supposed to be circumcised in the flesh and also in the mind. And we see that the Lord is dealing with you Israelites, blacks and Hispanics. It says rates stayed the same. That means you believe in circumcision. Shows who you are in the spirit. Even though you have a majority of Jakes out here, they don't believe in the Lord, Yahweh Ba'Shem Shai, but it's in their spirit to do spiritual things that pertain to righteousness. You can see it. That's how Jake is. And this is one of them, man. Circumcision. So it says, wealthier and privately insured families had higher rates, but also bigger declines. Yeah. So even among the wealthy, the people who have coverage, they don't want to circumcise their children. Okay, so now let's go into this here. It says white families account for the largest circumcision decline. Trends varied sharply across racial and ethnic groups. For white newborn, circumcision prevalence was 61% in 2012, rose to a peak of 65.3% in 2019, and then declined to 60% in 2022. By contrast, black families maintained the highest rates at about 66% throughout the study period, while Hispanic families consistently had the lowest at around 21%. Regional differences were just as pronounced. Hospitals in the Midwest recorded the highest prevalence at 68.5% in 2022, while Western hospitals reported only 19.7%. Among white families in the West, circumcision dropped from 34.3% in 2012 to 26.2% in 2022. Now it says wealth and insurance status shape decisions. That's true, you know. So yeah, there are other factors that come into play. You know, right? You know, some people don't have a lot of money as well. Now I'm going to go into this one: cultural factors and changing attitude towards circumcision. The authors note that several factors may contribute to why parents are choosing circumcision less often, despite medical endorsements. The American Academy of Pediatrics affirms that the health benefits outweigh the risk, but stresses that the decision should remain with parents. They highlight increased skepticism toward medical recommendations in the United States and the continued growth of the Hispanic population in births, given that Hispanic families have consistently low circumcision rates. The study published in JAMA Pediatrics also found that the rates among black newborns stayed stable across regions, while white newborns showed the largest decreases. The authors did not investigate reason for racial differences, only documenting their persistence. Right. So, and you know, the Hispanic population too. Some Hispanics also identify as white too. You know, Spanish-speaking people, that is Hispanic. And we know the Hispanics are mingled too. You have a lot of Edomites among them as well, in different nations. But still, it's still relatively the same, you know, among you blacks and Hispanics as well. But even then, you know, it's changing among that population too. It's still telling you that, right? The attitudes. Anyways, it says here. Actually, that's all I want. You know, I read that. You can read it for yourself. And this is the chart here. It shows you neonatal male circumcisions performed, percentage by ethnicity group. All right, so I'm going to move on now. This is Leviticus chapter 12, verse 3. And in the 8th day, the flesh of his foreskin shall be circumcised. So this is what happens when you have a man child. You're supposed to circumcise the child, right? All right, so now it says here, Deuteronomy 10, verse 16, circumcise therefore the foreskin of your heart and be no more stiff-necked. Okay, so yeah, you got to circumcise your mind. That means you got to be obedient unto Yahweh B'Shem Yoshai. You really got to believe in what you're doing. You got to believe in the law. You got to believe that the Lord is working with you when you perform the law, right? It's very important. A lot of our people, they're not circumcised in the mind. A lot of our people, they're doing the procedure of circumcision, but they don't really believe in it. They don't understand it. They don't care. They don't understand the significance behind it spiritually. And you got Jeremiah 4:4, circumcise yourselves to Yahweh and take away the foreskins of your heart. Ye men of Judah, inhabitants of Jerusalem, lest my fury come forth like fire and burn that none can quench it, because of the evil of your doings. See? So you're supposed to circumcise your mind, man. This is Romans chapter 2, verse... Let's start at verse 25. This, for circumcision verily profiteth, if thou keep the law. But if thou be a breaker of the law, thy circumcision is made uncircumcision. See? Now, yeah, you can perform circumcision, but if you're just being wicked, you know, what's the point of you circumcising yourself if you don't really believe in what you're doing? That's another thing too. You do it, but you're not really right in the spirit. What's the point? So you did the procedure, right? But you don't really believe in it, so you're not really circumcised. What's the point? So I'll read it again. For circumcision verily profiteth, if thou keep the law. But if thou be a breaker of the law, thy circumcision is made uncircumcision. So you're supposed to keep the law, man. Therefore, if the uncircumcision keep the righteousness of the law, shall not his uncircumcision be counted for circumcision? And shall not uncircumcision, which is by nature, if it fulfill the law, judge thee who by the letter and circumcision does transgress the law? For he is not a Jew which is one outwardly, neither is that circumcision which is outward in the flesh, but he is a Jew which is one inwardly, and circumcision is that of the heart. So pretty much that's where it starts first. It's not just about you getting the procedure and then doing it and then you be a nigga. But you got to really believe, in what you believe in. You got to really believe in the Lord. Okay, and then that's why you have faith, and then you have your works, right? So you got to show your faith first. You really got to believe it in your mind, and then it plays out through your actions, right? So it says in the spirit and not in the letter, whose praise is not of men but of the Most High. So are you doing it for men, to be seen of men? Are you doing it to look cool, or are you really doing it to serve Yahweh Shem Yoshai? What are you in this for? All right, I'm going to move on. So it says Romans chapter 3, verse 28. I'm going to say verse 27. Where is boasting then? It is excluded. By what law? Of works? Nay, but by the law of faith. Therefore we conclude that a man is justified by faith without the deeds of the law. Is he the power of the Jews only? Is he not also the Gentiles? Yes, of the Gentiles also. Yeah, Gentiles going into the Israelite foreigners. Some of the Israelite foreigners coming into this thing, they were lacking certain things, and they were being called out for it. And this is why this was written as well. Anyways, it says, yes, of the Gentiles also, seeing it is one power which shall justify the circumcision by faith and uncircumcision through faith. Do we then make void the law through faith? The Most High forbid. Yea, we establish the law. Yeah, so you still need the law as well. So that means you still got to go through the procedure to demonstrate your faith, right? So the law of circumcision, you actually going through the procedure and doing it is very important. Just because you believe in the Lord doesn't mean that you should put off doing the actual law, the laws itself, right? So circumcision is an example of it, right? So yeah, so it's very important to be circumcised in the mind and also practice the law of circumcision. Okay. Anyway, that's the point. So hope this makes sense. This is a quick one. I hope it was edifying. So with that, I just want to give all praises, glory, and honor due unto Yahweh Bahashem Yoshai, Bahashem Rakah Kodash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstones of GMS. And this is the voice of Jacob. My name is Brother Gobar Allah. Kwam Yasha Allah Babal Shalom.